I wasted 11 years chasing success metrics that didn't matter. Climbing ladders leaning against the wrong walls. I thought fulfillment came from hitting external milestones, career advancement, income level, possessions that signaled success. I believed if I achieved enough, I'd look back with satisfaction instead of regret, but I was wrong. Life's brevity isn't solved by achievement, it's solved by alignment. And if you don't grasp this now, you'll wake up a couple of years from now wondering where your time went, despite all your busyness and box checking. You'll realize you spent your limited lifetime on things that weren't worth the irreplaceable days they cost. The solution isn't doing more or achieving more. It's ruthless elimination of the non-essential. Most people think that a well-spent life is measured by what you accumulate or achieve, but it's not. It's measured by what you deliberately eliminate. If you spend your days reflexively saying yes to whatever comes your way, filling your calendar with commitments that don't energize you, and giving your irreplaceable hours to projects that won't matter a year from now, you're systematically trading your limited lifetime for things that don't deserve it. But if you spend most days ruthlessly prioritizing what truly matters to you, saying no to almost everything, and protecting your time like the non-renewable resource it is, you're ensuring that each day of your finite life is exchanged for something worthy of its true cost. Because you don't just stumble into a well-spent life. You design it through intentional elimination. This isn't about minimalism in the aesthetic sense. It's about recognizing that every single thing you say yes to is automatically saying no to countless other possibilities. Every commitment, activity, relationship, and pursuit has an opportunity cost measured in your most precious and limited currency, time. The math is brutally simple. The average human lives about 30,000 days. If you're 30 years old, you've already used up roughly 11,000 of them. If you're 40, that number jumps to about 14,600. Let me tell you, these aren't renewable. Once spent, they're gone forever. So the central question becomes, are you spending your remaining days in a way that reflects their true value? For most people, the honest answer is no. And it's not because they don't care, it's because they haven't fully internalized life's brevity. And I'm going to show you exactly how to implement this awareness in your daily life in just a moment. But first, we need to understand the dangerous assumption that keeps most people trapped in a cycle of postponed living. Think about your past week. How many hours can you specifically account for? How many of those hours were spent on things that truly matter to you? How many were spent reflexively, responding to whatever demanded your attention in the moment? The gap between what we say matters to us and how we actually spend our time is where regret is born. And the biggest mistake people make when confronting life's shortness, believing they have plenty of time to figure it out later, waiting for some future point when things will calm down, waiting until after this next promotion, project, or milestone, waiting for the mythical someday when you'll finally start spending your time on what truly matters to you. But here's what most people miss. There is no mythical future period where life suddenly becomes less demanding or where clarity automatically arrives. The forces pulling at your time and attention only intensify as you progress through life. The truth is, continuing to postpone intentionality is actually the riskiest choice you can make. Because while you're waiting for the perfect moment to align your time with your values, your limited supply of days continues to diminish, spent on things that don't deserve them. I've watched this pattern play out countless times. The executive who postpones time with family for just one more year until health issues force a perspective they wished they'd had sooner. The creative who delays pursuing their passion until retirement, only to discover that decades of neglecting it has diminished both their skills and their drive. In every case, the assumption was the same. There will be plenty of time later, but later isn't guaranteed. And even if it comes, it brings no magical clarity that wasn't available today. The cost of waiting is paid in life itself. Days you'll never get back, exchanged for things that didn't deserve them. I'm curious about your own experience with this realization. Has there been a moment in your life when you suddenly understood how precious your time truly is? What triggered that awareness? And how did it change the way you make decisions? Your insight might help others recognize this truth before learning it the hard way. Most people severely underestimate how quickly time passes and overestimate how much they'll be able to do with what remains. The human brain isn't wired to truly grasp the finite nature of time. We intellectually understand that life is short, but we make daily decisions as if it were endless. This cognitive blind spot creates one of life's cruelest ironies. Those who do not feel time's urgency waste it, while those who feel it deeply extract its full value. My friend, just look at the last month of your life. How many days can you specifically remember? How many moments stand out as truly alive, truly meaningful? For most people, it's a shockingly small percentage. The days blur together precisely because they weren't spent with intention. They were spent on autopilot, reacting to whatever seemed urgent rather than proactively creating what's important. This isn't abstract philosophy, it's practical reality. Your life is literally made of time. When you waste time, you're not wasting some external resource. You're wasting pieces of your life itself. Most people don't realize they're using up their one life, rehearsing for a perfect version that will never come. They're postponing living until some future date when everything is figured out. But that future never arrives. Instead, they find themselves looking back on decades, wondering where all the time went. The greatest tragedy isn't failing to achieve everything you wanted, it's spending your limited time on things that were never truly important to you in the first place. Every moment you spend on autopilot is a moment you'll never get back. Every hour consumed by activities that don't align with your values is an hour of your life lost forever. And here's the painful truth. Nothing creates more regret than a life half-lived, filled with some days that never came. The principles of time well spent. So how do you actually ensure you're spending your limited time well? It starts with understanding that a well-spent life isn't accidental. It's architectural. First, you must clarify what well-spent means specifically for you. This isn't abstract, it's deeply personal and requires honest self-examination. For me, the breakthrough came when I stopped asking, what should I do with my life? And started asking, what would I regret not doing with my life? This simple reframing cuts through social expectations and reveals what truly matters to you. It connects you with your future self, who will eventually look back on how you spent these days. The answers will be different for everyone. For some, time well spent means deep investment in family. For others, it's creative expression, or building something meaningful. There's no universal definition of time well spent, only yours. Second, you must develop an acute awareness of time's true cost. This means evaluating every significant commitment, not just by what it requires today, but by its lifetime cost. That 3-year career detour, that's 1,095 days, nearly 4% of your entire adult life. That toxic relationship you're staying in for just a little longer. Each additional month is 1% of a decade you'll never get back. When you start calculating time's cost this way, your decisions change dramatically. The threshold for what deserves your remaining days rises substantially. Finally, you must implement ruthless elimination. This is where most people fail. They understand life is short and they know what matters to them, but they lack the courage to cut away everything else. Elimination isn't just saying no to obvious time wasters. It's saying no to good opportunities that aren't great. It's disappointing people whose expectations don't align with your priorities. It's abandoning projects that no longer justify their time cost, even when you've already invested heavily in them. This isn't easy, but it's necessary if you want your limited time to be well spent. So what's it going to be? Will you continue spending your irreplaceable days as if you have an infinite supply? Will you keep postponing intentionality until some mythical future point? Will you allow external expectations and immediate urgencies to determine how your limited lifetime is spent? Because if you don't take complete ownership of your remaining time, the world will gladly spend it for you. Your days will be claimed by other people's priorities. Your hours will be filled with what's urgent rather than what's important. Your attention will be fragmented across 1,000 minor concerns, while the few things that truly matter receive only the leftover scraps of your time and energy. And 5 years from now, you'll either be the person who made the difficult choices to align your finite time with what truly matters, or the person who continued to let life happen to you, watching more precious days slip away on things that didn't deserve them. The most sobering truth I've learned is this: no one will value your time more than you do. No one will protect it if you don't. No one will prioritize what matters to you if you won't make it a priority yourself. When I finally understood this, really understood it, everything changed. I stopped seeing time management as a productivity tool and started seeing it as existential stewardship. I began evaluating opportunities not by what they might add to my life, but by what they would undeniably subtract from it. Irreplaceable days, This shift from passive to active relationship with time doesn't happen automatically. It requires a deliberate choice, one you must make repeatedly, day after day. If you're thinking, this resonates deeply, but how do I actually implement it in my daily life? Start here. First, conduct a time audit. For 1 week, record how you spend each hour. Be ruthlessly honest. Don't record how you wish you spent your time. Record how you actually spent it. Then calculate the percentage of your time that went to what truly matters to you. For most people, this exercise is profoundly uncomfortable. They discover that less than 20% of their time goes to what they claim matters most. This gap between stated values and time allocation is where regret is born. Second, implement the hell yeah or no rule. When evaluating any non-essential commitment or opportunity, if your response isn't an immediate, enthusiastic hell yeah, then the answer is no. I'll share a powerful personal example of how this changed my life in a minute. But first, we need to talk about how to practically protect the time you've reclaimed through these decisions. This simple binary eliminates the vast middle ground where mediocre uses of time hide. It forces you to distinguish between what's merely good and what's truly worthy of your limited days. I apply this ruthlessly now. Recently, I turned down a lucrative project that just a few years ago I would have immediately accepted. It was a good opportunity by objective standards, but it wasn't aligned with how I want to spend my remaining time. The short-term financial loss pales in comparison to the life I would have traded for it. Third, schedule time blocks for what matters most. Hope is not a strategy for protecting your time. You must deliberately block time for your priorities before the world fills your calendar with everything else. These aren't appointments you can cancel when something seemingly urgent arises. These are non-negotiable commitments to spending your life on what deserves it. Finally, practice the art of conscious subtraction. Regularly ask, what can I eliminate from my life that would free up time for what truly matters? This isn't just about obvious time wasters, it's about good things that are taking time away from great things. Because a well-spent life isn't built by adding more, it's built by subtracting wisely. There's a strange paradox in truly accepting life's brevity. It feels simultaneously heavy and liberating. Heavy because you realize how precious each day is, and how many you've already spent on things that didn't deserve them. Liberating because this same awareness gives you permission to eliminate everything that doesn't matter. When you fully internalize that your time is limited, saying no becomes easier. Disappointing others becomes necessary. Abandoning projects that no longer serve your vision becomes logical rather than wasteful. Life's shortness, properly understood, is actually a gift. It forces prioritization. It demands intentionality. It clarifies what matters and what doesn't. Without the constraint of limited time, we would never be forced to decide what truly deserves our attention. We would drift endlessly, sampling everything but committing to nothing. The pressure of life's brevity creates the diamond of a well-spent life. Concentrated, focused, and valuable, precisely because it can't include everything. So embrace life's shortness, not as a limitation to fear, but as a clarifying force that can guide every decision about how to spend your remaining days. Because when you stop fighting against life's brevity and start working with it, everything changes. Your choices become clearer, your days become richer, and the life you build becomes one you'll look back on without regret. Not because you did everything, but because you did what mattered most. Your time, your choices, your life. My friend, the journey doesn't end here. I've created a follow-up video that builds on everything we've covered today, taking these principles to their next natural evolution. The path to a life without regret is already unfolding beneath your feet. All you need to do is keep walking.